Hi, Phil Moufarrege here from growthevoice.com. Today we're going to talk about how to sing higher but without going loud. So how do we sing in a way that's not too loud or too powerful when we go up higher, and how can we sound relaxed without going to falsetto? So before we jump into it, I'll just give you a little demonstration to show you what that's kind of like. So if I start around here, I'll just take a song. So we'll go never be lonely, lost in the night, to run from the darkness, looking for the light, 'cause it's a long hard road that's never too late for change. I was really trying to cut back that volume there and try not to sound too big on the sound. So now I'll show you the opposite of that, so you can get a bit of contrast. What does that sound like if I'm not trying to cut back the volume and if I go for more of an intense sound? So I'll show you on the higher part. So if I go 'cause there's a long hard road that's never too late for change. So you just saw that demonstration, me doing a lighter demonstration and then a louder demonstration. So what are the main differences between singing thinner and singing louder? What are the things you have to do to cause your voice to want to go thinner or louder? Before I explain that, I want to give you a little disclaimer or a bit of information that will really stop you getting frustrated down the track when you're hearing a lot of singers that you like that sing in a way that you don't sing in a way. So if you hear a singer that sings thin and you love that and you want to copy that, just remember that some people have thinner voices naturally and some people have heavier voices naturally. The singer may naturally have a voice that's thinner than yours, so what comes naturally to them will not come naturally to you, and which will require you to morph and change a lot of things to get your sound to go similar to theirs. And there is a limit to how much you can do that before you lose the quality of your voice. Just remember that. So you've always got to remember what sounds good to your voice and own that. That's why it's important to make your own songs. Make your own songs. That's what your favorite artists are doing, and find your own sound through that rather than just copying other singers. It's good to study singers and copy them, but you've got to really find your own sound at the same time too. So that's a little disclaimer. Let's get into it. The main difference, that the changes I have to make my voice go thinner, is I have to get my resonance to move up to my face and my head earlier. When I sing louder, I try to resist that happening and hold it in the mouth longer before I let it cross over up there. So when I sing thinner, I want to get the resonance to go up here earlier. The way I do that is by making my vowels narrow. Okay, so I don't spread the vowels too much. I don't open the jaw too much. I make the vowels resemble more of an ooh kind of sound, because ooh is a very thin vowel. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, it's a very thin sound, so I make all my vowels funnel through that. So I'll give you an example, and I want to go Father, and it's an intense sound. It's quite a big sound, and you're thinking, hey, I want to get that thinner. So what I do to change that is I go from father to father. Okay, so it's like an ooh, father. So instead of fad, see how it's more of a relaxed, reined in sound. It's more of a sound that sounds mellow, doesn't sound intense. On the flip side, if I want to sing louder, I'm going to shape my vowels to more of an ah and bring this through the sound. So if I want to sing father and go loud, I'm going to go father. So it has like it has this real sound. If I want to make that less intense and more thinner, father. The whole sound is just reined in and narrow. Does that make sense? So because I narrow the vowel and make it smaller, my resonance wants to come up to the face more. See how it's like, it's really bright and up there, okay? As opposed to where it's held down here. You've got your mouth resonance, which brings in a lot of chest quality. And when you close that off, you get more of the head and the facial resonance, which gives you a brighter, thinner quality. For example, if I go like the mouth's closed, so all you can hear is a resonance coming from here, very thin. Notice as soon as I open the mouth, it becomes thicker and louder. That's because I'm introducing more resonance from the mouth. The mouth gives you that thickness. The next thing I make sure I do is I try not to spread sideways. Okay, I try to keep everything here coming in and to a point. So I make all my vowels go to a point. If they don't do that, they will become splatty and belty. What happens when I get a splatty and belty sound? Well, it sounds like this. So if I go, even though I'm singing thin, you're going to hear it shoot out wide on some notes. So we go, there, like that, there. Sounds like I'm shouting at you. So when I get, there, so I'm bringing it in. There. So instead of there, I go, the. There's a lion. I don't want to go, there's a lot. I don't want to go long. I want to go long. Long, hard road. And if I don't want hard to be so intense, I go, there's a long, hard road. You see how the whole thing becomes very thin and mellow? Personally, I don't think it sounds good for my voice to do it that high, but I'm just trying to show you that you can develop it and if you want to use it. I prefer to use that sound a bit lower in my range, and when I go higher, I bring a bit more mass into the sound. And the reason why you'd want to do that is because sometimes when you go high with a thin sound, if you go too high, the resonance gets so much up here that it starts sounding whiny. So I like to bring a bit more volume in the sound by opening the mouth resonator so I can even it out. So instead of being like, there's a long road, or it's really thin, sounds very whiny, I bring it a bit more to the mouth. There's a long hard road. It sounds a bit more natural, I think, to do it like that. It's louder, it's more intense, but that's what my voice wants to do naturally. And that's kind of what I was saying before, that your voice just may be a naturally more louder, intense voice, or it may be a naturally thinner, mellow voice. So whatever your voice wants to do, it's good to train the other thing. So since I naturally go loud, I like to train going thinner. But having said that, remember, if this is where your voice wants to live, it can only stretch so far from that, okay? The further you go from that, you're going to lose that stability. So you've always got to take in mind that your voice sits in a certain area and you've got to play to its strengths, okay? Now there's another technique you can use to sing thin and high, but it's not what you were looking for when you search for this video. It's actually crossing into falsetto. And it's a good skill to have because it works really well in the low range. A singer that does this really well is Brian McKnight. So for example, this is me staying connected, okay, using the same voice the whole time. There's a long road, it's never too late for change. So that's me singing in the same voice, chest voice the whole time. It's very thin. Now I'm going to show you this other way of doing it, which works in the low range but doesn't work so much in the high range. So I'm going to show it in the high range first, where it crumbles. So I'm going, 'cause there's a long hard road, it's never too late for change. It doesn't really work, right? It's very soft. I mean, you can use it, but I would say this is too high to use it. I'll show you where it works. Down here. So if I go, Heavenly Father, watching us fall. So down there, it actually works. It sounds good. What am I doing? It's basically a very light chest voice with some breathiness coming through. So I call this an uncompressed chest voice because I'm not trying to keep it solid. I'm trying to keep it almost like a falsetto. Because as you go higher with this voice, you won't be able to take it very high and it will go to falsetto. So what you try to do is you try to make it resemble falsetto, and then you try to make your falsetto resemble chest so that they transition smoothly. It gets a different sound altogether. So if I go higher with it, so that's falsetto. And I connect it back to chest like that. See that? So it's a way you can sing from chest to falsetto if you want a very, very tender kind of tiny quality, tiny sound with this nice breathiness to it. I use it a lot, but I use it in a lower range where it sounds good. So I'll use it more down here like I showed you. Heavenly Father, And if I want to go higher, I switch back to a solid chest voice or go to falsetto. So that could look like this. Heavenly Father watching. So I'm back to chest voice there. But I've learned how to even them out so that they don't sound like Heavenly Father, what? And it's not too big like that, right? So you learn how to keep the vowels narrow. What? No. Heavenly Father, what? And it sounds even, okay? What helps me to keep it even is I train my voice to get good at fading in on notes and crescendoing. So instead of going, what? And jumping in like that, it's, what? So I'm fading from a light voice to a solid voice. If I don't go to a solid chest voice, it's going to sound like this. Heavenly Father, watch it. And it brings a lot of tension there and you can't take it up that high. So that's the limitation of that sound. Okay? But that is one sound you can use. I call it uncompressed chest voice. Now let's talk about some of the problems that can occur when you're trying to find a thinner voice and you're having trouble trying to apply this into actual singing. The first problem is trying to develop this by just singing light and bridging early and things like that, bridging in the falsetto and bridging in the head voice, trying to make it work. So if you're using a program or a teacher or you're trying to do exercises that have you do stuff like almost whisper like stuff where you go, for example, or you're going like if you're training that quietly, you won't build this, okay? It won't work. Don't think it's going to get louder and more powerful. It won't. It will stay like that forever because the actual mechanism to make it louder is a completely different mechanism. The next mistake, if you're trying to get a connected tone that goes up, if you want a very thin tone that goes all the way up there, super high notes like that, and it's connected through, and you're trying to get that by going, by blowing air into the sound and trying to back off the volume, it won't develop that either because what you're doing is you're opening your vocal cords and you're uncompressing the sound. Remember, I call it the uncompressed sound. It's this cool thing stylistically, but it won't build your voice to get that connected sound I just did. I won't actually develop that kind of sound. That uncompressed sound, that's me going chest to falsetto. That sound will only go up to an F4 and then it will cross to falsetto. It always does that. So if I go up to the E4, I'm still in chest voice. I'm still in chest. Like here, it's going to go falsetto. I'm in falsetto now. Back to chest. Like that. There is a danger in training a sound that uses too much breathiness. If you try to use a lot of breathiness on a loud and high types of singing, you can actually damage your voice and it'll go really hoarse and irritate your voice. So most of your singing should be very solid and clean and with a nice good volume. Save all the breathy kind of singing for just low stuff, and you always want to make sure that if you're doing a lot of singing that has breathy stuff, that you also do a lot of singing on the side that has clear, strong, loud types of singing. Otherwise your voice will start to break down. So let me tell you how this thin high voice is built. It's actually built by using your louder tone, okay, your loud, comfortable voice, your normal volume. So if I call out to somebody and go, hey, you over there, it's that volume. So we're going, yeah, it's that volume that builds the voice. I have to stay around that volume. It's like a medium loud volume. It's pretty loud. It's not shouting, but it's pretty loud. So what you do is you learn how to build a louder, bigger sound that can also go high without strain. And then you learn how to back off that and make it thinner. So that way you can both learn how to sing heavy, loud, and high, and also thin and high without straining. If you do it that way, not only do you get both, you get the best of both worlds, but it's actually quicker to do it that way. The results come quicker. The reason why it's quicker is because when you do something wrong, when you're trying to go louder, you instantly know it's wrong. It punishes you. It won't let you go higher. Whereas if you do it light, you can dance around the problem. So if I go light, I can go, and I think I'm doing everything so great, right? But the problem is when I bring back the volume, and I'm straining again. Okay, so you've got to learn how to manage the voice. The other reason why singing louder is better is because it helps develop a deep sensation of body connection, a body anchoring system that can support your voice so that you don't strain from the throat. You can't build that by singing light, because when you're trying to learn how to support the voice, it's very hard to feel it happening, and you need to be very sensitive to feel it. And if you're singing light, then it's very hard to feel it happening. When you sing loudly, you can really feel it occurring, and you can tap into the feeling and develop it. So developing support can only really happen when you go loud and big, and that's what you need to actually sing thinner. The other reason why it's important to learn how to strengthen the loud volume is because if you don't, and you somehow find a way to sing with this thin sound, if you learn how to get that thin tone without doing the loud sound, the thin tone won't last, okay? It will start to break down. The reason why it will start to break down is because you're always singing up here, okay? And the voice will always want to do whatever you're doing. So whatever you're doing with your voice will only want to do that, and it will have a hard time going back to something else. And what will start to happen is you'll get very locked into singing this way, where you're singing everything up here. It's very free. It feels very light and easy to sing like that, even though it's high. However, I'm not using enough of my mouth resonance. What starts to happen over time is your sensation of support switches off. Your mouth resonance or your chest resonance starts to atrophy. And because that whole system starts to atrophy, you actually start losing those notes at high range. It starts disappearing, and you start straining to get it back. Happened to me, okay? It's a very complex system. So what you've got to do is, whatever you're training your voice to do, you've also got to train it to do the opposite. If you want to sing lighter and thinner, you've also got to build up the heavy sound to make the lighter and thinner singing easy to do. So what happens is, if your voice is too thin and you don't have the heavy sound built up, you won't be able to sing that high even with the thin tone. Even though it feels easy, you just won't be able to go high with it, because the sound will become very shrill and whiny and almost nasal, because there's not enough mouth resonance under there. So what will happen is you'll go, 'cause there's a... It'll start sounding like it. It'll start to it sounds really whiny and nasal, because there's not enough of that mouth resonance built up. So what you want is, see, it still sounds full, even though it's thin, it still sounds full. That's me going loud. So if you think my thin one is already too loud, because some people are going to leave a comment, they're going to be like, oh, you're not singing thin, it's still loud. That's my thin voice, okay? Your thin voice may be different. There's some people that their thin voice is going to sound like my heavy voice, so it's different, all right? Different for everyone. And lastly, I want to say that singing light and high and thin without going to falsetto will be the last thing your voice will be able to do, okay? Not always. Some people can tap into this earlier, but in most cases, this is going to be the last thing your voice is going to be able to do. You're going to learn how to belt and go loud and strong first, and then learn how to back off the sound. So that's the end of the video. I hope you found it insightful and a bit better than the other YouTube videos where they just throw some exercise at you and you don't even know if you're doing it right or whatever, and it doesn't do anything and it just ends in frustration. If you want more information on the stuff we talked about today, I've actually got a free course, a 5-part course on my website. The link's down below. Go in there and sign up, and it's going to take you through a lot of different things. For example, why you've never been able to expand your range if you're having trouble singing high notes. I'm going to tell you exactly why you've never been able to do it. I'm going to tell you the importance of chest voice, when you shouldn't bridge into head voice, what that even means, the real thing that it means, what mixed voice really means, and a lot of different things. So if you're interested in that, then head over to the website, sign up, and you'll get that delivered straight to your inbox for free. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments section down below what was the most interesting thing you found about this video, and if you have any requests for a video topic, write it down below. I'd love to see it. So it was fun chatting with you today. and I look forward to seeing you next time. So thanks for watching. Phil Moufarrege from growtovoice.com here. Take care.